Hey everybody, hope you're well. I'm going to bring you a little information pertaining to ex-police officer Derek Chauvin. Thank you all for joining me. I had to bundle up. It's a bit chilly here in the high 10. Thank you so much for joining me. Running around, so I'm looking a little bit ragged, so excuse my appearance. Reuters is the source. Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted in the death of George Floyd, is expected to survive following an attack in a prison, Arizona, on Friday, according to a spokesperson from the Minnesota Attorney General's office. The Associated Press earlier reported Chauvin had been stabbed and seriously injured on Friday. I am sad to hear that Derek Chauvin was the target of violence, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said in an email statement on Saturday. He was duly convicted of his crimes, and like any incarcerated individual, he should be able to serve his sentence without fear of retaliation or violence. Ellison did not give further details. In a statement on Sunday, Attorney General's office spokesperson Brian Evans said regarding Chauvin's condition, "We have heard that he is expected to survive." Chauvin is serving a 21-year sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights, as well as a concurrent 22 and a half years for murder on his conviction in Minnesota State Court. The Federal Bureau of Prisons confirmed an unidentified inmate was assaulted at the Federal Correction Institution in Tucson, Arizona. It said employees initiated life-saving measures for one individual who was taken by emergency medical services to a hospital. A spokesperson for the Bureau of Prisons said it was not providing the name of the victim or the medical status due to privacy reasons. Floyd's death in 2020 unleashed protests worldwide against police brutality, racism, after Chauvin, who was white, knelt on the neck of the handcuffed black man for more than 9 minutes in a murder caught on cell phone video. Reuters is the source. Oh, mercy. Here is something else pertaining to his mother. Let's see what she has to say. Oh, mercy. This is by The Messenger. Derek Chauvin's mother says prison didn't call her after son was stabbed, needed life-saving measures. The mother of the former police officer, Derek Chauvin, said that the prison where her son was being held never told her that he was stabbed. Chauvin, who is an ex-officer, everybody knows, convicted of the killing of George Floyd 2020, was stabbed by a fellow inmate at the Federal Correctional Institution in Tucson on Friday. The Bureau of Prisons says he was severely injured, and confirmed that no other inmates or prison staff were hurt. The former cop's family said they were not informed that Chauvin was stabbed and that employees were required to perform life-saving measures. What was that? CPR? I'm curious. Chauvin's mother, Carolyn Paulenti, learned that her son was seriously injured in the stabbing through the news and that she was not contacted by any officials, according to Alpha News. How the hell do these news agencies know? And his own mother doesn't even know. And that prison has an emergency contact number for me, Paulini told the news outlet. She said she's worried and scared about her son's condition. I can't even think what to say. I haven't been to bed and made a path in my kitchen and living room floor by pacing, Paulini added. Chauvin, white police officer, was convicted of killing George Floyd, a black man, by pressing his knee into his neck for more than 9 minutes. Once again, Mr. Chauvin is serving a 21-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights and a 22 and a half, make that clear, 22 and a half, this is a separate sentence, for second-degree murder. And that's the state's sentence. So 21 years federal, 22 and a half state for second degree. I read the other day that Chauvin has no remorse, because I tell myself never to use adjectives when you're describing a person's commentary and it's, coming out of their own mouth. He said, I used techniques by the police manual. So the man was already subdued, on the ground, handcuffed. So he's not going anywhere. He's not moving. He's not fighting. He's not resisting. He told you all he was afraid to get in a car for whatever reason, 9 times out of 10, because he didn't want to go to jail. That's nothing new. And as many people have said before, pertaining to serial killers, murderers, child molesters, you all seem to apprehend them just fine. You don't beat them up. You don't cut them up. You don't shoot them. You don't tase them. But this one tall black guy who people at the store considered erratic behavior, odd, peculiar, whatever hell he was doing, passing fake money. All this led to a man being kneed to death for 9 minutes. For some reason, I thought 7, but it's been so long ago. 9 minutes. We'll go with 9. 7, 9. What's the difference? 6 minutes. Doesn't matter. He's dead. He's telling you he couldn't breathe, but yet you still continue, Mr. Chauvin, to hold your knee to this man's neck. And this is where many Americans have a problem with you. And not just Black Americans, Americans. All races, creeds, so on and so forth. Hello, Sammy P. Thank you. He wasn't doing anything. So you now, years later, have been convicted by 2 separate courts, still show no remorse for murdering a man in a prison, moved from the Midwest all the way out to the West Coast, Arizona, possibly not around any friends or family, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. And you're still preaching, it's no big deal. I mean, I don't know if you said this to many other people, but you probably have. I was doing my job. I was doing my job. Not for 9 minutes. As I said, 7, 8, whatever the number is, it doesn't matter. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't moving. He wasn't fighting you. He wasn't trying to beat you up. He didn't reach for a gun. Didn't reach for your gun, another officer's gun. What is the problem? What is the problem? And I believe you've probably done this type of behavior before, you and other officers. And let's make note that most officers are not convicted in court pertaining to murder. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you. Most officers do not get prison time. And that has been said with numerous officers who have been charged with aggravated assault, murder, attempted murder, which is so awful. He's broken the mold of being the cop that was found guilty by a member of the community, 12 members. And they did the right thing. And race has nothing to do with it because he was a man. He just so happened to be a black man. But had the man been Mexican, Jewish, white, Arabic, whatever his nationality, whatever his skin tone, there's no reason for someone to knee you in the neck and you're not fighting. You just didn't want to get in the truck. Big guy for one, as somebody said, you didn't have any business trying to stuff this 6-foot+ person into a small SUV. Why didn't you try to put him in a paddy wagon? A paddy wagon would have been more sufficient for somebody his height. And I understand you can't just, cater to an alleged perpetrator, whatever it is you all thought he had done. The whole situation was exacerbated. That's why the man's dead. And that's what people don't seem to understand about the law. In circumstances, things can get blown out of proportion at the drop of a hat. Somebody said they did something. Somebody said they said something. The next thing you know, here comes the police. Then you get a police officer, plural, in their feelings, having a bad day, nasty ass attitude. Now you got somebody struggling for life. And in this man's case, dead. You can't explain your knee to somebody's throat, neck, for 9 minutes. You couldn't explain it if you had him in a chokehold. It's all the same. He wasn't combative. Just, hey, I don't want to get in this car. Hey, I don't want to get in this truck. Big deal. It was enough of you on the scene to have put him in the back seat, comfortably, the best that you could, because it would be an uncomfortable ride. And I don't think he did anything so terrible that really warranted all of this nonsense. Because you have people out here doing some crazy stuff, and they're not treated like that. They're not kneed, they're not beat up, they're not choked, they're not kneed to the neck, none of that. And that's a problem we have with George Floyd's death. murder. Murder. You say that. It's that people are arrested every day, and they're treated with better respect than what you gave George Floyd, you and your little buddies. And they were stupid enough to ride the ride, because had I been an officer, I would have told you, hey, get him up. We're wasting all this time playing duck, duck, goose with this man, ring around the rosies around this damn SUV. He could have already been on his way downtown with all the time. They're standing up there going back and forth, and he's not wanting to get in the truck, and they're, back and forth. And the next thing you know, Mr. Hothead, well, let's just take him down to the ground. He fell out the car. Well, he's already on the ground. Okay, if he did fall out the truck, so you say, pick him up. You're supposed to be serving the community. You're supposed to be saving the world. Who has time to be wrestling with this guy almost 7 feet tall or so, 6'4", however tall he was? Hey, get up, sir. We got to go. We got things to do. And it was too many of you to be playing these type of games. You should be trained to pick the guy up if he fell out, rolled out, slid out of the seat, however you want to word it, and put him back into the vehicle. If you saw that he couldn't fit properly, because let's be truthful, any taller than 6'3", 6'4", you basically would have damn near breaking a person's knees and legs to stuff them in the backseat of an SUV. And we already know those SUVs are not big trucks. It's not like you all are driving around in Suburbans, where a person that's 6'3", 6'4" could possibly sit comfortable in the back seats if the front seat's pushed up. But we get it. You're not supposed to be catering to criminals. The point is, there was a better way of handling Mr. Floyd. There's a better way of handling people, period. You don't get slap happy and pull out guns and start shooting, tasing, because you don't like what they're saying. They're not answering your questions. You think that they're lying. That's not lawful. And the fact that now you still are riding the ride on, I followed the police manual to subdue a suspect, criminal, however you want to word it. So in the police manual for the state of Minnesota, it says you can use your knee to hold a person down and cut off their airway, although they're showing no signs of struggle or being combative or fighting you or resisting arrest. That's in the Minnesota police manual, sir. Show it to us. I want a receipt. Who stabbed Derek Chauvin? Black man, white man, Mexican, lifer, somebody there for just a couple years. How long have they been incarcerated? Do they have mental problems? Are they on meds? What are you doing in general population? Because I believe you were isolated back in the Midwest where you were before they took you and sent you out here to Arizona. I didn't even know you had been moved. So, say what, hon? It's crap that he is doing that. So, when did they move him? Why did they move him? I think I read about his safety. Where did you all think he was going to be safe in the United States? I'll wait. He murdered a man for no reason and held him down by his own knee for the world to see via a cell phone. Thank you, Miss Lady who filmed it. So where in the United States was Mr. Chauvin going to be safe? And we as people say that a lot of times when people commit heinous crimes, especially against children. Oh, I hope he gets it. Oh, I hope he gets it. I hope she gets it. But sometimes they don't. And that's what some of you all need to understand about prison. Every prison, every person is not the same. They can go chop up 12 people and go right into general population and sit beside all these inmates and nothing bad happens. They could rape women, rape children, rape civilians, torture animals, torture children, torture women, men, whomever, and be in general population, nothing bad happens. That's what we want to happen, some of us. We want them to get beat up. We want them to get hurt. But that does not always happen. I'd like to know, was he in general population when this stabbing took place? Because if he was confined, how would an inmate get to him? And so far, I've read maybe 2 articles. I have not heard that he was in general population. But the fact that he was stabbed by another inmate, that would lead me to assume he was in general population. Now, let's just say he was in general population. Why would you want to be in general population knowing what you have done? Now, maybe you thought you could go into prison, get protection. Maybe you've made some type of deal with some certain white groups in there for protection, Aryan nation, some people. That crossed my mind. So you felt confident to be out. Because in your mind, maybe you felt like, well, just because we're all locked up doesn't mean we all going to get along. And we know there are some racist people in prison. There's blacks in there that don't like Mexicans or whites. There's whites that don't like Mexicans and blacks or other races. And maybe you identify with a group in there. So you feel comfortable to be in general population, but you're a fool if you thought that. Because now you're stabbed up, and I hear it was bad, very bad. So now I'm going to ask, where was Mr. Chauvin stabbed? In the stomach, in the back, in the neck, in the throat, what? No details. Your mother. Naturally, you are her son. Obviously, she doesn't think that what you did was wrong by murdering a man in public on film. She's got no information about you. The news knew before she did. She's offended. She's pacing back and forth in her house. Left a path, so she says. You see, Mr. Chauvin, mommy, this is what happens when justice comes home. And in a lot of true crime, justice doesn't come home. Takes a little while, sometimes never. And that's where God comes in. He'll handle the rest. Justice came home. Derek Chauvin got time in prison. This is his punishment, to be in prison. And along came a spider that bit Mr. Chauvin deeply. So you see, people mourned for George Floyd, didn't know him. Family members mourned him, hooped, hollered, as they should. That's their family member. Because that's the point. No matter the sins of the person, what they've done, not done, accused of, there's still somebody in the world that likes them, cares for them, reveres them. And I would say that's how you feel about Derek Chauvin. He's your child. He's your son. You possibly don't think what he did was wrong. He was just doing his job. But 12 members said, hell no, you violated that man's rights. We're going to put you away. And then the state, 12 more members said the same thing. Hell no, you violated this man's rights. Second-degree murder. 2 times. And it is rare. But the world got to see it. And I believe that's the only reason why Mr. Chauvin is incarcerated. It's because it was filmed. There was a gathering of people. They're all hooping and hollering, hey, stop, get off of him. He can't breathe. He can't breathe. You also hear the victim saying, I can't breathe. And the minutes are steady ticking by on a live Facebook feed. Had that girl never stood there and filmed this atrocious crime, I do believe Derek Chauvin would be free. Because it's nothing like a visual aid. This is why so many people have been prosecuted in court. Because of CCTV footage. Cell phone towers, pings, data, text messaging, going live, telling their business, telling of their sins. And many of us are grateful to the young lady who filmed. Because as I said, had she not filmed this crime, I do believe Mr. Chauvin would have never been convicted in a court of law. Especially not 2 times. Does this lady feel like what her son has done is wrong? Or is she in agreement to the murder of Mr. George Floyd? Who is she and what is she about? Because, a lot of people, their disposition comes from how they were reared, how they were taught. And we've learned Mr. Chauvin has not been the best camper. He owed money to the IRS. I believe he has some infractions on his record as a police officer. And that leads me to believe, like so many other officers, they get a slap on the wrist. You keep them on the payroll because they've been around a few years. Nothing too bad until George Floyd. So then you have to jog your memory back, or let me say, think back. What were the other altercations, situations with other civilians like? Because if you've done this and you've been on the force a while, which I would say more than 10 years, you've possibly done this behavior with some other civilians. Why would I think you haven't? And yet here you are in a prison, stabbed up, almost died, and still have that mentality. I did what I was supposed to do. I followed the police manual. So I'm going to ask you now, Mr. Chauvin, do you still believe what you did was right by George Floyd? Do you still believe now, even being stabbed, almost died, that what you did was right? You followed protocol and by the book to knee this man in the neck for damn near 10 minutes. Eyewitnesses, civilian and officers alike, and nobody intervened. And they basically had built a barricade so nobody could step in that street to save this fella. Because what they have to tell themselves, I step off this curb, I'm going to be right down there with him with a knee to my neck. And that's what every American citizen should think. That could have been you, because everybody does not behave the same when they are being approached by police, spoken to by police, and or being arrested. Some people freak out. They become paranoid. Whether they did something wrong or not, everybody behaves differently. And that's what happened with Mr. Floyd. He panicked. He didn't want to, go to jail. He possibly knew, he was passing bad money. I don't know. And I told myself that when I first heard the story and started getting the different versions, I said to myself, had he just not hung around that store, went and got in the car and left, or never went to the store if he indeed took fake money the first time when the guy passed it. Because my understanding, somebody went one time and they were told not to come back. Mr. Floyd comes back. So I don't know if he was feeling jiggy. Hey, I know these people. I could pass the bad money. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I know that if you were there the first time, whether you sat outside and waited on the guy, when the guy got back to the car, somebody from the store comes and approaches the car and you're there and you hear the conversation about the fake money, you definitely should have never went back to that store with fake money. But that's neither here nor there, because Mr. Floyd is not alive. And I think about that all the time. If indeed he knew that guy passed fake money round one, why would he go back and try to use fake money himself the second time? And naturally, in no way what he got is compensatory to him being a witness to fake money the first time, or him being stupid enough to pass money the second time. Nobody deserves to be kneed in the neck and suffocated because they tried to pass a fake $20 bill. How is being murdered in front of people worth $20 or whatever the dollar amount was? It's not. Because as I said, people commit heinous crimes every day. They're investigated, interrogated. Officers, FBI agents, state troopers, they go to their homes, their houses, their cars, approach them. And some of these officers have enough sense not to go down that road of trying to murder a civilian. because they think they've done something. Because that's not your place. That's not your job. You're supposed to be upholding the law, not executing people because of what you think they did. And that is what's wrong with the world right now. Is that you have the wrong people working in law enforcement. You have the wrong people upholding them that's in law enforcement, such as sergeants, lieutenants, chiefs, so on and so forth, commissioners. And you also have civilians who have the same type of barbaric attitude, may not have a criminal record, but they are barbaric in their thought process. And they think it's okay to manhandle civilians. All I can say is you don't know when the shoe will be on the other foot. And you will be a George Floyd, a Breonna Taylor. You don't ever know where you're going to be. Something jumps off. You're in the way. You're an eyewitness. You're trying to get out of the way. Somebody manhandles you, talk crazy to you, and then hell, you might just say something back. Hey, why are you talking to me like that? Next thing you know, somebody's choking you out in a blue suit. And that's how a lot of these people, civilians, end up dead. Speaking up, speaking back. Standing at the curb, being an eyewitness. Get back, get back. And then you foolishly say something in response. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't trying to do nothing. The next thing you know, you got a cop in your face. And next thing you know, you're down on the ground trying to survive. All because you were standing at the curb watching. Had your phone out. Had a camera out. They told you to get back. You got back or you didn't get back. You said something. Now he's mad. She's mad. Now they're lunging at you. Got their hands around your throat, your head, headlock. That's how quick you could end up a George Floyd. Don't even have to be breaking the law, passing fake money. You just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. God forbid you get pulled over and you ask the officer, why did you pull me over? And he gives you his reason, but you disagree. Well, sir, I don't feel like I was speeding, or I don't feel like I was wobbling, or no, I haven't had anything to drink. No, I'm cool. And then it's get out of the car. Well, sir, I haven't done anything. Get out of the car. And God forbid how you respond. Because this is why a lot of people are dead, fooling with the police. Their response. And I would say this to anybody who know they've done wrong. Don't combat them. They ask you to turn off the car, turn it off. Put your hands in your lap, put your hands in your lap. Put your hands on the steering wheel, put your hands on the steering wheel. Please exit the car, exit the car. They ask you to sit on the ground, sit on the ground. Don't give them a reason to make you a news story. Don't take off running. Don't go reaching for stuff in your pockets, in the glove box. Whatever they tell you to do, you do just that. Because it's not just African Americans who have ended up dead by not complying with what the police asked them to do. There have been white people just as well, Hispanic people, who reach for something, and next thing you know, they're shot. Follow the instructions. Even if you don't think you've done anything, follow the instructions. Because you have some cops, they're just nasty, they're rude. And frankly, you don't have a right to pull anybody over. And you know you're not pulling them over for anything that they've done. And then you tell them, well, why are you getting mad because I pulled you over? Well, I have a right to ask you. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Going home one night late. Oh, you're wobbling. And I was like, well, the roads are uneven. The roads are under construction. I'm not familiar with this area. Just started driving on this road. And then the lady says, oh, why are you getting an attitude? I said, well, ma'am, you're pulling me over. It's late night. And I'm trying to figure out what is it that I've done. How's it having an attitude? You pull me over, but I'm not supposed to ask you why I'm pulled over. So I stopped talking. And then she finally said, well, I can see you're not drunk. So basically, that's what you were doing. You were profiling with the assumption I was under the influence. Because that road, they stay on that road Friday, Saturday night, this certain area, looking for people drinking and driving. I know this. Now, people in the surrounding area could be getting carjacked, house broken into, kidnapped, a robbery. They rather watch this main strip of highway looking for people drinking and driving. Because they know it's an area where, it's small town USA, people coming and going on that main road. People are going in and out the counties to go out and have fun, to go into, Knoxville and all this. So they know this. And that's why they sit there. They hide, waiting for somebody to come by. God forbid, you're speeding, you're driving too slow. Or it's just your lucky day to be pulled over. Your response is everything. And I knew she was out up to no good because I passed her walking back to her police car with another guy, a white guy. As I'm going down the interstate, she's to the right of me. Her police car's behind that guy's car. I see her walking to her car. It wasn't, I'm telling you, I could have just looked up in the mirror. She was behind me with the lights on. How in that quick moment, I'm driving by this lady. She had somebody pulled over. She's going back to her car. As I passed her, I look up in the rear view. She's behind me with lights on. And somebody would say, well, hell, if you saw her, I wouldn't see that you'd be trying to be wobbling and weaving if you just saw the police. You just drove by the police. Why would you be deliberately wobbling and weaving? That's why I looked at her. Like, I told her, I said, ma'am, I just saw you. I just saw you. I said, you just had that guy pulled over in a little sports car. Letting her know you're not out here doing the right thing. Because there's no way if I'm passing you and you hadn't even made it to your police car, how in the hell, if I look back up, you're right on my tail with lights on? That sounds like somebody profiling to me. That's my point. All cops are not good cops. And that's why when I see officers out, I treat them just like I would treat anybody else. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. Great day we're having. Keep it moving. Because that's what they want. They think everybody's afraid of them. Everybody's fearful of them. Hate them. No, I don't. Because I know everyone is not the same. People are people. And I know that I'm not on the run. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nobody looking for me. You ain't looking for me. Sheriff ain't looking for me. So I can walk by you in the grocery store, a public street, and have no fear. I could drive by you, have no fear. And that's the life that you want. You don't want a life where you are afraid to drive by the police, afraid to drive in front of them. You see them in the same parking lot. You want to go all the way over here and park. Why? Because if you're living right, you do what you're supposed to do, you don't have the fear. You see, you only have the fear is if you ain't living right. And now, because so many African Americans get picked on by police, I can see why some people would have a fear of the police, because they say, hey, you just don't know the day you get your janky ass cop, she wants to pick on you, say something. Oh, you didn't turn your signal on when you know you did, or you turned too fast, you didn't yield. I get that. But I try not to have that attitude. Leaving out, coming home. It's the old saying, don't claim it. And that's how I live my life. Outside, Whether I'm on foot, I'm in a car, I try to comply. I see them boogers out, walk by, hey, how you doing? Keep it moving. Because a lot of them probably think a lot of people are afraid of them. Don't expect you to speak. Why not? Why not speak? He or she hasn't done anything to me. Good morning, sir. How you doing? Great day, great weather we're having, huh? Exactly. Great point. They are no more important than anyone else. Exactly. And that's what our young people need to understand. Don't get your life embroiled in trouble to where they know your name, they know your car, they know your family, because you then can become an easy mark. They know your car, they know you don't have a license, they know you got revoked license, DUI, so on and so forth. Hell yeah, they'll F with you. Why not? Oh, there he is. He's driving. No, he ain't got no license. And then you're sitting here mad because you get pulled over. But you know you don't have a license. My thing is, don't send for these people. Don't give the cops a reason to bother you, the sheriff to bother you. Don't even go places where you know it's a lot of trouble, a lot of problems. Because that can be trouble too. You're innocent, coming out. People outside talking. Next thing you know, somebody's arguing. Next thing you know, you're caught up. Wrong place, wrong time. It can happen to the best of people. And you don't have to be doing anything wrong. But I always tell people, I tell you this all the time in my commentary, just be aware of your surroundings wherever you are. Whether it's daylight, whether it's dark. And just try to do the right thing. Because in the end, whether you like the police or not, you're going to need them one day, perhaps. And this is why you don't want to have that nasty attitude to where you say, well, I hate the police. I don't like them. They mistreat Black people. They mistreat citizens, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. But you don't want to be carrying that omen around. Because you can carry that omen to where you're going to speak that into existence. And that's anything negative. You don't want to speak that. You don't want to hold that burden where you, as soon as you see the cops, you're, oh, there they go. Oh. I mean, you can even drive by and tell, okay, they're just bothering that guy. They're just bothering that lady. Yeah. Because they've got that badge. But know that all police officers, state troopers, agents, marshals, everybody is not the same. Everybody's not sinister. And that's what you have to project when you are out and they see you. I'm not about to be your typical or atypical civilian to where you think I'm getting ready to get jiggy, jump off, and get the lashing out to where you got to put me in a chokehold. Don't give them a reason to violate your civil rights. Because as we have said before, many people have broken the law. They have committed atrocious crimes, and they have been apprehended without a scratch. And some have been combative, cursing, spitting, and they ended up making it to the police car, paddy wagon, to the jail, unscathed. And that is why many of us had a problem with the death, the murder of Mr. Floyd. Because all the time they spent wrangling with him with that car, the truck, they could have placed him inside and taken him on downtown wherever. And then the rest would have been between he and the judge. Not Chauvin and those other officers that aided him on that fateful day. But I felt like there's a reason for the season. It's a reason George went on that journey that day, ended up murdered. Reason that justice came home to convict this man moved to an Arizona prison, and stabbed by another inmate. Maybe God is trying to tell Mr. Chauvin something. I'm in control of the situation. I've always been in control of the situation, not you, Mr. Chauvin. So now his other little buddies who got charged can say, wow, this is what I have to look forward to, possibly. Somebody knifing me. Exactly. Because you played a part on that fateful day too. None of you were the bigger person to say, hey, enough's enough. We need to be getting this man in the vehicle and on to the jail. And that's the baffling part of the story, is that nobody was man enough, big enough to override Mr. Chauvin, whomever, whether he was the lead or whatever, to say, hey, all of this back and forth, put him in the car, let's go. Somebody should have been the bigger person to say, hey, enough of this. Hey, sir, you need to calm down. We're going to put you in the car. We're going to try to put you in here comfortable so you can get on your way. You and the judge can decide. But we ain't about to stand here and argue with you about no money, no nothing, no nothing. And I'm sure the people at the store had regrets. Damn, I did all this. This man is dead. That's a hell of a burden to carry. I did all this ripping and running and chasing people and running to the car for some fake money. The people who stood and watched and couldn't do anything. That's a hell of a burden to know that you stood there and watched a man die. The girl who filmed, that's a hell of a burden. Probably scared for her life and her safety too. Her family's safety. Because I don't trust anybody who knows there's a witness and witnesses and their government names and what they look like. But as I said, on Friday, I believe God said, I told you, Derek, I've been running this. This ain't your show, homeboy. You didn't have to go to the lengths you went to on that fateful day. You did that. You and those guys could have put that man in that damn truck and sent him on his way. But you didn't want to do that. And even after being convicted, you still show no remorse for killing George Floyd. So I can show you better than I can tell you. God knows all. He has the upper hand. And somebody would say, it is what it is. Perhaps this is retribution. You took a whole life, Mr. Chauvin. Let's not get it mistaken. You took a whole human being who told you they could not breathe. And you continue to knee that man to his final breath. And I do believe you meant to do it. How about that? I do believe you meant to kill him. Because at some point, you heard him. You felt the slowness of breathing. And you all didn't even allow the ambulatory people to try to intervene at first. It's all deliberate. And by the time you let them come in, you all just threw them on a gurney like a rag doll. See, ambulance should have never even been involved because you didn't have to take him to the ground. The 9 minutes you spent kneeing him, that's the time he could have been inside of a vehicle and transported to the jail. And I believe you're going to have a horrible time in prison. You'll possibly want to be confined if you weren't, to 1 hour out only. 23 hours lockdown. You don't have anything to look forward to. Now, you may have a lawyer, somebody to speak on your behalf to try to get you out of there, to say, well, he's not safe in there. He don't need to be there. He was doing his job, blah, blah, blah. Basically say, overlook the state, overlook the federal charge. But then how would that be fair to anybody else that's committed murder because somebody shanked them? Because in the end, they killed somebody too. And possibly this is their karma for killing that person or more. So you don't get a free ride out that damn prison because somebody stabbed you. And I'm sure that's what's coming next. Is that a lawyer is going to try to say he doesn't need to be in there. He's barely hanging on to life. He barely made it, blah, blah, blah. He's not safe in prison. Well, lock his ass down for 23 hours. He can be safe. Matter of fact, lock him down the whole 24 hours. Because you still got something George Floyd ain't got. And that's breath. You can still open your eyes, walk, see, hear, think, smell, touch. He cannot. You have been afforded the opportunity to breathe. Although it's in a prison cell, your choice, but you're still breathing. And even when somebody came with the knife on Friday and stabbed you, because I heard it was bad, God still favored you, Mr. Chauvin, and spared your life. And you probably thought, hell, I wish I was dead, because I don't want to be in here for 40-something years. But now you have a chance to think about what you did to Mr. Floyd. And if this experience doesn't show you that what you did to George was wrong, then perhaps you need to be stabbed again. To understand, you snuffed out a man for nothing because it wasn't your place. You didn't fear for your safety. I don't believe he was acting so erratic to where, everybody was afraid of this big, great, tall guy. He was so big. Just like you said, you followed the manual in the book, you followed the book, the protocol, then you should have followed the part in the book that shows you how to apprehend, subdue a suspect without killing them. That's the part of the manual you forgot about. You're dirty. And there are many more like you, and there'll be many more behind you. And this should be a lesson learned, once again, to anybody that wants to violate the rights of another human being because they have a badge. God sees everything. He hears everything. Whether there is CCTV footage, a cell phone filming it or not, he sees it all. And you can't think you're going to go out here and use your badge as a way to inflict harm against other people. Because what goes around comes around. And karma is a bitch. And hopefully for your sake, you will now finally repent and have remorse for what you did to George Floyd. Because as I said, if you don't, you'll possibly be 6 feet down the next time. Mommy won't have to worry about getting a call that you were stabbed. They'll be calling her to tell her she can come pick up your body. Because frankly, I'm surprised you've been breathing as long as you have. And I think you knew that day was coming. that there were too many angry people in the world for you to get a pass. So every day that you sat in a jail from the Midwest to Arizona alive, you got a pass. And even now, as severe as your injuries are, you still got a pass because you have life. Thank you all so much for joining me. When I get more information pertaining to Mr. Derek Chauvin, I will bring you an update. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below. Please take the polls on my community page. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this live stream. God bless all of you. Happy holidays. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy shopping. Please be aware of your surroundings. Be careful of what you post to social media. Anything you're getting big, such as electronics, whatever, don't leave the boxes outside at the driveway, the garbage can. Take those boxes, put them in your car, and take them to a recycling center. Don't give the perpetrators a reason to try to violate your civil rights. And be careful when you're out shopping. Don't shop alone. Don't shop at night. Ladies, get any type of protection that you think is feasible for you. Always be aware of your surroundings. Crime is high now. Please be aware of your surroundings. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. You have been listening to the Vault Excel. Thank you.